Alright, we're going to finish up our BIS Internship experience page with our final section, which is going to be our job shadow description area. And we're going to put this underneath our spotlight section that we created, which had a gray background to it. So we're going to jump back into our white section right underneath it. So I'm going to locate that bottom section where the closing div tag is. And this one ended up being a fairly long section. So when you click on the closing div tag down here right before the break class clear of div ID foot wrap, you scroll up all the way to the top here and you're going to see the beginning of it where it should say content secondary wrap. So I'll scroll back down here and place my cursor right after that closing div tag and hit the enter return key. And following our same procedure here, we're going to type in the break class of clear / right caret and then hit the enter return key. So then we're going to open up a div tag and we're going to add the class of content main wrap. So make sure that you select the content main wrap and not the main wrap top so that you don't have some spacing issues down there at the top of this div tag. And hit the enter return key a couple times, left caret / and then move your cursor up in between, tab in and type in div class, and this is going to be our content main contain, and right caret, enter return key, left caret / and then move your cursor up in between those two sections and then tab in. We're going to start this section off with an H1 and we're going to title this job, and I'm going to call this job shadow, or we could say just job shadow description, job shadow something. Maybe I'm going to put in quotation marks here just to remind you. Use a catchy title of some sort. And left caret / to end that statement out. So this section is a series of paragraphs, and then we have a section that comes right below this, which is a supervisor interview. So I'm going to hit the enter return key, and this is where a description goes in for your job shadow piece. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in a left caret paragraph, right caret, left caret / to close that statement out. And then I'm going to pull up my Word document with my ipsum lorem text, and you're going to open up your description for this, and should just be a few sentences long. So I'm just going to highlight about 4 sentences there, Control C or Command C, and minimize that. And then come in, and where my cursor is in between that opening paragraph tag and closing paragraph tag, I'm just going to copy and paste that in there. And right after that closing paragraph tag, I'm going to hit the enter return key, and we're going to put another heading 1 title in here, and this one is going to be the supervisor interview. I guess you could always do this as a heading 2 if you'd like, but I'm going to go ahead and stick with the heading 1. And you could also, I'm going to also maybe remind you, use a catchier title than the one that I've picked here, and then left caret / to close that heading 1 statement out. So the supervisor interview is a series of questions with answers. And so what I'm going to do is, what you'll see is I'm going to do this to save some time. I'm going to just do 3 questions, and I'm just going to copy and paste the same text 3 times just to round out our tutorial quicker than usual. So I'm going to start this off with a paragraph, and left caret / and move my cursor inside that opening paragraph tag, and we're going to add a strong tag to this so that it bolds out our question. So then I'm going to move my cursor in between there, and I'm just going to grab a short sentence here that would work as a question. So I'm going to take one of the ipsum lorem sentences from above, and I kind of want to find something that's a little bit longer, not super short. So I'm going to grab this one right here, and Control C, Command C, and then place my cursor in between the 2 strong tags there, the opening and closing strong tags, and then paste that in there, and then change that period to a question mark. And then underneath, I'm going to hit my enter return key, and then what I'm going to do, just to save time, is I'm just going to grab an answer, which I'm just going to use that same paragraph from the job description above. So I'm just going to copy and paste that whole tag with the ipsum lorem text above, and then place that right beneath my question that I had just had. So I'm going to do 2 more of those, and so to do that I'm just going to highlight and copy that whole section with the question and the strong tags that I just created and the answer, just to save time for our tutorial. So Command C, Control C, enter return, and then Command V or Control V to paste that in there and do that a couple of times. Now before I round out this tutorial, I do want to insert an image in between one of these paragraphs. And I already have an image set up, so this might be an image from a picture that you took from your internship reflection piece. So I'm going to locate that first answer paragraph, and I'm going to locate that second sentence, the second question, place my cursor right before the opening paragraph tag and hit the enter return key, and then move my cursor up above there. So I'm going to type in the left caret, and we're going to type in image src, and I'm going to browse for it. It's going to go to my photo browser and find my images folder, and then this one I pulled from the internship movie from the Google with these two characters. Okay, and right after that I'm going to hit the space bar and type in an alt tag, and this will be the interns, or give it a name. And then we also we want to float this image to the right, but I haven't created that class yet. So what I need to do here is hit the / and then the right caret so I can end that statement, and then I'm going to have to pop into my style sheet here real quick to add that class so I can float this image where I want it to go. So I'm going to click into my portfolio main CSS and scroll down, and since this is going into my content main contain section, I'm going to put it underneath that section of my styles. So I'm going to find it, right, content main contain P, and where my cursor is at the end of that curly brace. I could put this in my, above here where I have some generic styles, but I'm just going to go ahead and put this up here because I could really use this just about anywhere. So I'm going to hit the enter return key there right after that curly brace, and I'm going to give this a very specific name, a period first, because we're making this a class, and I'm going to title this as image hyphen float. I'm going to abbreviate the float hyphen and then RT for right. And the reason why I'm going to do this is I might want to add some padding to this class so that when I insert the image, the paragraphs don't hit the image so tight. I'll put up a curly brace here, and we're just going to float it to the right and end that statement out. And let's go ahead and enter return here and add some padding. I'm just going to go ahead and guess right now. I don't know if I need this or not, but I'm just going to guess at this point. And in the padding, I only want to do padding that is on the top, the left, and the right. And so I want to do 5 pixels on the top. I don't want to do any on the right because it's floating to the right. And the bottom, 5 pixels, and then the left 5 pixels. Sorry, I apologize if I said right in my earlier sentence there. And hit the enter return key and then right curly brace. So go ahead and save this, Control S or Command S, and then pop over into your source code and locate that end of that alt tag where the quotation marks are. Place your cursor right at the end of that quotation mark, hit the space bar, and then type in class and then image float right. Make sure you don't select the image margin adjust one. I'm going to locate that first paragraph right underneath the H1 where I have my job description and place my cursor right after the P and hit the space bar and type in align justify. And then I'm going to do the same thing for my other sentences. I don't need to do it for my questions because they're short enough, but if you have longer questions, you might want to add the same thing to these paragraph tags, but I'm just going to do them to my longer sentences. Find that P, spacebar, align, justify, and find the second one, align, justify, and then come down here to paragraph, last one, align, justify. This is the simplest way to set text to align it. If you have headings or other paragraphs you want to center things or justify things, this is the best way to do it instead of doing it in your style sheet. Although sometimes you're going to always center things, so that that in that case you might want to set your text to always justify. Just remember this, that your styles, whatever you put in your styles, will always override what you put in your HTML into your source code. So if you do something in your style sheet to set your alignment, it'll always override that. So if you've got two conflicting alignment properties, one in your source code and one in your style sheet, and you can't figure out why something's not working, it could be potentially because you have two conflicting properties applied to the same tag. So just have to kind of be mindful of that, which is why I don't often set my alignment of my text in my style sheet, just for that reason, because you never know when or you may or may not use that. Okay, so let's make sure we save everything there and go back over to Firefox and hit refresh. And you can see that with text it does make it a little bit nicer. Did a second paragraph get applied there? So let's find out. Did I miss one? Oh, I did, right there, right underneath the image. So right after the paragraph, align, justify, and then save that. Pop back over and refresh. There we go. This is what I wanted you to see, is sometimes with images it's nice that the text goes right up against the image in a straight line. That's why I set this section up to justify, so that it does look a little bit nicer. Sometimes I find with websites using the justify property in your text is a much more professional look than just left aligned. Okay, we're finished with our BIS Internship experience page. The next one and our final page is going to be the showcase.